Hey everybody, welcome to Patrick Dugan Music. Today we're going to be looking at getting started with a Fender Stratocaster type guitar, looking at the parts as well as how to tune the strings. Okay, so the Fender Stratocaster is one of the most iconic guitar designs out there, and it is oftentimes copied by other brand makers. So chances are, if it looks kind of like this, it's probably made after the Stratocaster or a Strat type design. All right, so let's get into it. So the parts on the body. So this big piece right here is the body. Then we have the neck, and we have the head or the headstock. All right, so body, neck, and head, those are the three main components. Let's talk about the body. There's a lot going on here. So beginning with the input jack, which is where we're going to connect the instrument into our amplifier with a guitar cable or an instrument cable. Right? It can't just be any cable. It has to be a guitar or an instrument cable specifically. Cool, so that is the input jack. Then moving over here, the Stratocaster has three knobs down here. We have a volume and then two tone knobs. So the volume knob on a Strat is going to be a master volume for anything that's going on. There's only one volume knob, and it's going to control no matter what pickup you have selected. The volume knob is going to determine how much signal is coming out of the guitar into this cable and into the amplifier. All right, so that's your master volume knob, and then you have two tone knobs down here, and these are assigned to different pickups and pickup combinations. So these pieces underneath the strings here are called pickups, like a pickup truck, and it is a magnetic coil that is designed to interact with the steel string that is vibrating. So it detects the vibration of that string, turns it into a signal which is able to go out into the amplifier and produce a sound. Right, so this is your bridge pickup, closest to the bridge, the middle pickup, and the neck pickup, closest to the neck. So let's talk about the bridge pickup. If we want to use this one, we're going to have our pickup selector switch all the way down. This is position number 1, by the way, is down towards the floor, and this is activating the bridge pickup. The bridge pickup is going to have a little bit more of a high-end treble response to it, frequency response, because of where it's located. It's located over by the bridge, and you'll notice that even if you play, sorry, let me grab a pick real quick. If you play something with your pick, if you pick closer to the bridge, it's going to sound a little bit different. So the same concept is there with this bridge pickup. Since it's located over here closer to the bridge, it's going to have a little bit more of a high frequency kind of treble type of a sound to it. So depending on what you're doing, that may or may not be exactly what you want. All right, and then if I go to pickup position number 2, if I click this up one, I am using the bridge and the middle pickups together. And you'll notice that there's a little bit of hum that disappears when I click this up a notch. That's because these two pickups are wired together and they are hum canceling at that point. Just like on a Les Paul design that has humbucking pickups or double coil pickups, these are single coil pickups, but when we select two of them together, they will cancel out the hum like that. So this is pickup position number 2. It's the middle and the bridge pickup, and this is going to have still a little bit more of a upper mid-range kind of treble frequency response to it, and because it's the two pickups together, it's going to change the tone a little bit as well. It's going to have a little bit of a rounder, twangier sound to it. So depending on what you're doing, you might want that certain sound, that certain tone. This would also sound good as a more of a rhythm guitar spot if you're doing some kind of softer chords. It's hum canceling, so it's going to sound nice and clean. And the tone here, right, with that kind of upper and mid-range, higher frequency response tone, and because it's the two pickups together, it has that kind of round bell-like, little bit of a twang to it, is a good choice sometimes for something like that. If you want something that's nice and clear sounding, that's kind of quiet, that's usually when I engage pickup position 2. And the tone knob on the far bottom here is going to be the one that's activated. So that's the bottom tone knob, works for the bridge and the middle pickups here. That's going to make it either a little bit more bright if you have this turned all the way up, or kind of dark if you turn it back down. Alright, so that was pickup position number 2. If we go to position number 3, we are engaging just the middle pickup. So some of that hum is going to be back. Cool, and that's just part of the deal with single coil pickups. They hum and buzz a little bit. They're susceptible to that, but that's okay. That's kind of just an accepted kind of background noise for a Strat or a Stratocaster. So the middle pickup, right, is going to have a little bit more of a mid-range sound. It is still the bottom tone knob, by the way. It's going to control that one. Right, it's got a great, nice mid-range kind of rock and roll sound to it. So a lot of songs would fit into that that sort of sound if you're going for that. And if we flip this up another click, we are with the neck and middle pickups together. Since we are including the neck pickup in this combination, it is going to be hum canceling, and it's going to have a little bit more low-end response to it. It's going to have some mid-range response from the middle pickup and some nice low-end response from the neck pickup. Right, and still, it's still the bottom tone knob. So everything so far has been the bottom tone knob, and we haven't really messed with this. I guess at this point it would be both tone knobs, because this middle tone knob is going to be, on this guitar at least, is wired for the neck pickup. So since the middle and bridge pickups are wired for the bottom tone knob. So now you have two tone knobs to play with if you wanted to. You can make it nice and kind of smooth sounding by turning the tone knobs down. Turn them back up, and it's going to be nice and bright again. Again, this when these two are activated together, it has this kind of round bell-like sound to it that, in my opinion, sounds really good for a lot of rhythm guitar stuff. Right? It also position number 2 and 4, where it's the two pickups wired together. You also might want to use these in like a funkier, if you want like a nice tight funky sound. I went back to position number 2 with the middle and the bridge. To have some of those tight chord things like that, tight chord strumming. So I use those more for some rhythm stuff. Going to my personal favorite is the neck pickup, having the selector switch all the way up. Closest to the neck has a nice fat bass frequency response to it when you're playing. Right, so this is probably my favorite sound on the Stratocaster. It still has some nice bite to it, especially depending on what kind of pickups you put in there. But this one's got a little bit more low-end response. Okay, so that is the neck pickup. Works well for rhythm parts as well as lead parts, and is going to be one of your best sounding Stratocaster options, although all of them are good. I just happen to like that one a lot. Alright, so that is the 5-way pickup selector switch with your 3 single coil pickups. And mind you that you can take the guitar apart and rewire this switch and these pickups to do different things, but they're probably going to come wired like how I just showed you. But that is something you can change if you want to. Okay, moving on to the bridge. On a Stratocaster, most Stratocasters have a special kind of bridge, which is a tremolo, right? And it means that it's kind of sitting on a hinge, and we're able to tilt the bridge forward with this little tremolo arm here, or a whammy bar. For some people call this a whammy bar, or if you're in the UK, a wiggle stick. But it's a tremolo arm. It's all of those things, just whatever you want to call it. And the Fender Stratocaster was one of the first guitars to have this type of bridge that can tilt forward on its hinge like that and detune the strings. So you can see that on the back of the guitar, here's what I'm talking about. Here's the bridge, right? And it's being held in place by these 2 springs back here. You can adjust how much tension you want on that. I have mine kind of pulled in pretty tight right now. And that allows us to add tremolo or vibrato to different chords or single notes. Right, depending on how much you want to add, it can be a nice effect, or you can go kind of overboard with it, like Jimi Hendrix does, where he might push that kind of aggressively down, or someone like Eddie Van Halen who does a dive, right? He might hit a high-pitched note somewhere, and he's able to get those sounds with this tremolo system or this whammy bar, which is found on most Stratocasters. Not all. You can also put in a fixed bridge here if you want to. But this is one of the main features that came out with the Stratocaster back in the 1950s when this guitar came out, which was designed by Leo Fender. So you can do a whole lot with that whammy bar. You can hear that my strings are going a little bit out of tune when I'm using this. Cool, so that's a really cool feature on the Stratocaster. And let's see here. This piece here is the pick guard. You can swap out different colors and designs if you want. It's kind of serving two purposes. It looks nice. It's kind of a decorative piece. It's also covering, there's a cavity on the inside of the guitar here where the electronics are. So if you want to access the electronics, you're going to have to take out some of these screws and pop this pick guard off. But that is something you can customize or swap out if you want. All right, moving over to the guitar neck, right, where we have the vertical spaces here. These are the frets, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Notice the 12th fret has a double dot. So on any guitar, the 12th fret will have a special marking because it's marking that the string on the 12th fret is 1 octave higher, meaning it's the same note name, but in a different register. So if the open string is an E, the 12th fret will also be an E, but 1 octave higher. That's true on all the strings across the 12th fret. So the 12th fret marks the octave from the open strings up to the 12th fret, and then the pattern on the guitar neck starts over from the 12th fret onward. Right, so that the first dot down here is a G, so is the first dot up here. The second dot down here is an A, second dot up here is an A, right? So the entire pattern starts over on the 12th fret. So that's what's going on with the fret markings on the neck. The strings, right, are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So remember that string number 1 is the bottommost string. String number 6 is the topmost string. And we can adjust our string tunings over here with the 6 in a line tuning machines over here, which we're going to do right now. So you have two options when you're tuning a guitar. You have more than two options, but two easy options would be a clip-on tuner, like this one. I recommend a brand name called Snark, S-N-A-R-K. It's about $15 or $20 or so to get a Snark clip-on tuner. Those work really well. Or for your smartphone or device, you can download an app called Guitar Tuna, spelled T-U-N-A, like a tuna fish. So I'm going to use the Guitar Tuna app right now. This one's free. Everyone can download that. And we're going to go through and tune the strings real quick. So starting with string number 1, which is an E, like elephant. So you can hear that when I played this string, let's see what happens on the tune here. Right, so it says E, it has a little graph there, a little meter. It says I'm pretty close to the center line. So we want to have that needle be right on the center line, as close as we can get. So what if your guitar is a little bit out of tune and it's tracking over here, over to the left of the center line? That means that the string is too loose. We need to tighten the string to raise the pitch. So I'm going to follow this string down to the appropriate tuning key or tuning machine, and I need to tighten this, which will be counterclockwise on a Strat. And I'm going to be making small adjustments. As I go, you can see I'm getting closer and closer to that center line, and it's going to start to tell me that I'm close enough. However, we want to get it dead on if we can. So I'm going to keep doing tiny little movements. Somewhere around there is maybe even a little bit sharp at that point, but that's pretty close. Cool, so do your best. Try to get it as accurately as you can right on that center line. But string number 1 should sound like this. It is an E. Cool, moving on to string number 2 is B, like boy. Again, if you play this one and it is tracking over to the left on your tuner, that means you need to tighten the string to raise the pitch, which would be counterclockwise. If it is tracking over to the right, if it looks like this, that means the string is too tight or it is sharp. And we need to loosen the string to lower the pitch of that note down a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna slowly adjust that tuning key for string 2. Try to get it right onto that center line. Again, it's gonna tell me, it's gonna start chiming and telling me it's good enough. However, we want it to be right on the money. So they even give you a number on that, on your tuner. It might say plus 4, plus 5, minus 4, minus 5. We want to get that into like plus or minus 2 or 3. So those numbers, those are cents, plus 2 or 3 cents. And that's a measurement, that's how we measure pitch. So the closer that number is to 0, the better. All right, so that's string 2 is B. Up next is string number 3, a G. Should sound like this. And get mine in tune real quick. All right, so again, that's string 3, G. If it is tracking to the left of the center line, then we need to go counterclockwise to tighten the string. If it is tracking to the right of the center line, we need to go clockwise to loosen the string. So string 3 should sound like this. G, like girl. String 4 is D, like dog. Should sound something like this. Let's see how close mine's a little bit sharp. It's a little too tight. So I'm gonna make some small adjustments and get that one on there. So that's string 4, D, like dog. Remember, if your string if it's flat, that means you're left of center. You need to go counterclockwise to tighten it. If it's sharp, that means you're right of center. You need to go clockwise to loosen it a hair. So that was string number 4, D. String 5. Sorry, I keep closing this app and opening it up so it stops chiming. String 5 should sound like this. This is an A. A like apple. Great, and when you're tuning, you want to make small adjustments on the tuning key. So we don't really want to turn it a whole lot. We want to turn it tiny little amounts. And every time the string starts to die out, you're just going to pick it again lightly. And keep making tiny little adjustments with trial and error until you can get it right on the money. That was string 5, A, like apple. String 6 is an E. We're back to the note E. Mine's a little bit sharp because I was playing around with the whammy bar. But it should sound something like this. Another thing when you're tuning is as the string gets wider, as the string becomes bigger and thicker, the movements will do more. So a small movement over here will have a greater impact on a string that is thicker like that. Whereas over here you have a little bit more tolerance in terms of turning this. Does a little bit less than it does over here when the string is thicker. So just really small movements, trying to get string 6 to an E just like that. Okay, so all together, your strings should be sounding like this. Number 1 is an E. Number 2 is a B. Number 3 is a G. Number 4 is a D. Number 5 is an A. Number 6 is back to an E. So altogether, that is everybody goes dancing after eating. E, B, G, D, A, E. Everybody goes dancing after eating. Great. So that is an overview of the Stratocaster, or a Strat style electric guitar, and tuning the strings. So those apps again we were using, that was Guitar Tuna, T-U-N-A, like a tuna fish, for your smartphone, or a clip-on tuner by Snark. And just a recap of everything that we looked at, this is the body, neck, and head, right? This is the bridge. This is a tremolo arm. This is a tremolo type of a bridge, right? It tilts forward and detunes the strings. Each one of these little blocks here is called a saddle. Okay, and then we had the single coil pickups, bridge, middle, and neck. We have the 5-way pickup selector switch with positions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Position 1 is the bridge pickup. Number 2 is the bridge and middle. Number 3 is the middle. Number 4 is the middle and the neck. Number 5 is the neck. Cool, you have a master volume knob, 2 tone knobs. The bottom tone knob is assigned to the bridge and middle pickups. The middle tone knob is assigned to the neck pickup. Great, then we had the frets on the neck. This piece here that lifts the strings up is called the nut, N-U-T. The headstock, or the head, the tuning machines, or the tuning keys. And that's about the size of it. So depending on what style of music you play, and also just depending on what feels best to you and what sounds good to you, you might decide to play a Stratocaster. Some players out there who are famous Strat players would be Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, John Frusciante, among others. So if you like the sound of what they're doing, you might be a Strat player. Cool, and then because of where the controls are located, will allow you to do different things. Maybe you want to switch your pickup. Flick that pickup selector switch around because it's right there, and you also have the volume knob right here. You can roll that down a little bit to clean up the sound of your guitar. Turn it back up. And you can see that the gain comes back in. All right, and that is an overview of the Fender Stratocaster style electric guitar. Thanks so much. I'll see you next time.